You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Yesterday, in his inauguration address, President Joe Biden said something that, oh my goodness, the white folks on the Republican side, they're clutching pearls. Roll it.
A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. A cry for survival comes from the planet itself, a cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism that we must confront and we will defeat.
Did he say white supremacy in a presidential inauguration address? First time ever? Poor little Karl Rove. He was saddened by this, Greg Carr. He was torn up by this. Listen to this pinhead.
Whether it's COVID or the economy or racism, why are they talking everything down, do you think?
Well, part of it is to lower expectations. The economy is really bad. COVID's all screwed up. It's all bungled. It's going to be really hard to get these things fixed. And then as people get their vaccinations and the economy begins to rebound as a result of it being opened up, they can say, look at us, didn't we do a great job? The racism thing to me is, I was offended in the speech. I mean, I thought it was a good speech. It wasn't a great speech, but it was a good speech, and it was the right speech for the moment. But there was a point in there where he said we're divided as a country between the people who believe in the American ideal and racism, nativism, and fear. No. We're divided as a country politically over questions of policy and direction and respect, but we're as united as a country against racism and nativism. There are people in this country who are racist, there are people who are nativists, but the vast majority of Americans stand together on those issues. And that was an attempt to basically say, if you're not for me, you're part of the group that's racist and nativist and fear-mongering, which I didn't think was a good note to strike. But
I'm sorry. We're united against racism and nativism. Is Carl aware of those so-called patriots who call Capitol Hill police officers niggers? Carl, you're in Texas. There are 5 to 7 Republican Party county chairs who have said racist things. Only one of them has resigned. It's amazing to, and see, this is the thing, Greg, that I keep trying to explain to people. These folks live in such denial, and they walk around going, no, we are not racist. We love everyone. Now, we'll be happy to support Donald Trump in saying he won the election by trying to throw out black votes. That's not racism, that's politics. When Carl says, we're not divided because of race, we're divided because of politics, as if race is not involved in politics. And so the game that you're saying, and see, this is why last night, Greg, Tucker Carlson rolled out fat-ass Jason Whitlock. Somebody who knows nothing about politics, who admits he does not vote, but he rolls his lying ass out to have black cover. Say, well, black people call this fool actually. Oh, Black Lives Matter is the same as the KKK. This is how these folks see us, because for Fox News and OANN and Newsmax, they are talking to white people. Mm-hmm. And they're talking to black people who make excuses for white people, like Jason Whitlock and Leo Terrell and Candace Owens and people like that. But Carl was offended, Greg. His feelings were hurt.
Well, what is it? What's the old saying? The same night awaits us all. Karl Rove will meet his ancestors soon, and he's irrelevant. This is his death bleat. Lil Wayne and Kodak Black got pardoned by Donald Trump on the way out the door. Let's not forget that there is in this country, like every other country on the planet, a lack of knowledge, an immaturity, a political immaturity that can be corrosive. And so there will be, and never forget, one of the reasons why we even know the name Donald Trump is in some ways hip hop in the 1980s and 90s. We used to listen to everybody talking about staying in Trump hotels. So ignorance is a very powerful tool. And while Karl Rove knows exactly what he's doing, and there's going to be a cottage industry for the Whitlocks and the Candaces and Owens and all the rest of them, they're going to make a little money over the next few years as the White Nationalist Party retreats to its cave and reverts to what it was doing prior to 2016. That's all they're going to do. But I think it behooves us, and I appreciate the fact, brother, that you always take us back to Martin Luther King. I mean, like I said when we were on yesterday, I mean, I went back and started rereading some King and just reminding, of the fact that Joe Biden is a nativist. He's a nationalist. He isn't a white supremacist in that sense, but when you cover your activity with the red, white, and blue flag and steep it in American exceptionalism, you risk obscuring the fact that what Joe Biden wants to go after, namely the Klan, and they won't be the first time. I mean, Merrick Garland cited the reason the Department of Justice was founded in 1870, which was one part of it to go against the Ku Klux Klan. So there'll be that kind of rhetoric. There'll be those kind of results, I think, and that'll be very satisfying to all of us in this country. But never forget that today Avril Haines was confirmed as the Director of National Intelligence. This is the lady who approved Obama's kill list. This is the lady, when she was Deputy National Security Advisor and then Deputy Chief of the CIA, approved and endorsed torturing and killing American citizens. Some of those drones killed American citizens. Never forget that Anthony Blinken, who is the nominee for Secretary of State, he was one of the main ones advising going into Libya, staying in Iraq. I mean, in terms of foreign policy, this administration is going to be, unless it's pushed, the same neoliberal. I mean, hey, it's great to have a black dude at the Pentagon, but let's never forget that AFRICOM destabilizes governments in the continent of Africa. And never forget also that Joe Biden has already come out and said he's going to recognize Juan Guaido, a whole clown, as the president of Venezuela, when he is not the elected president of Venezuela. He is nowhere near the president of Venezuela. In fact, they had a riot at the Capitol in Venezuela that made what happened at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. look like a little slumber party. But Joe Biden has already come out and said, that's my guy. But see, when you wrap it in red, white, and blue, what Karl Rove is very clear about is that as long as we can keep this on domestic policy, I can nurture white ignorance and weaponize it and use it politically. Meanwhile, black folk are susceptible to being satisfied with some kind of, let's go after these Klansmen. Let's go. No, you got to root out white supremacy at the root. This is what got Martin Luther King killed. When you start talking about the evils of militarism, excessive materialism, and racism, Martin King isn't recognizing nation-state boundaries. And I hope, as we push this administration, because there are three branches of government, and I think that whether he endorsed Medicare for all or not, I think the initial move will be to pass legislation to make sure everybody has health care to survive through COVID. And once that beachhead is established, do you like that? Yeah. Well, then maybe we need to go back and make this permanent. I mean, so there's going to be some battles back and forth, but I think we have to be very careful how we conceptualize this notion of race when it is wrapped in a red, white, and blue flag, because this country did not change yesterday in terms of foreign policy, except that they're going to re-engage those international institutions. And in some ways, that's going to be worse for some of the countries where our ancestors came from.
Well, see, they don't want us, I mean, the real deal is that what they don't want us to really do is confront these things head on. And the reason a Karl Rove Erica, is so upset with this is because this is what really bothers him. They've always been fine when the black person says it. But when you're President Joe Biden and you know, without black people, you ain't even near the White House, and then they also know that black people are not about to be silent and just accept anything. I keep telling everybody, black folks were very quiet with Obama, but a lot of black people were privately seething. I kept telling everybody, the next black president or the next Democratic president not gonna have the same runway. There are gonna be some demands here. And so what the Karl Roves of the world are speaking about is what I have been saying about white fear. They are scared to death of giving up power, resources, and control. Oh, yeah. What we are saying is, y'all got to give up some power, some resources, and control.
Right. And, you know, Dr. Carr just laid it out. This is simply a retooling. So without that loud voice that was occupying the people's house, now they just have to repackage it a bit different. The message definitely isn't the same. And just for everybody to remember, this is the same Karl Rove that organized to make sure a considerable amount of money went into Georgia to continue to uplift white supremacists like Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, who mocked our Madam Vice President's name, thinking that it would help him to retain his seat in the Senate. It did not. Kelly Perdue, who owned a black women's basketball team, which I'm told that is something that I think she's, that won't be that way here shortly, I believe. But and then co-sponsored legislation with Marsha Blackburn out of Tennessee, using anarchist language, specifically talking about Black Lives Matter. So when you have a Karl Rove, who I guess he thinks because he did a master class with David Axelrod, that he's kind of this person that is, you know, very much so can speak on all things, he doesn't really have a dog in this fight. What was said needed to be said. And again, when you think about what Black folks have endured, that we literally walked President Joe Biden to the White House, that this is really kind of what we're hearing out of Fox is more of an echo chamber to continue to soothe their base, to make people feel like they're not as racist if they were a part of the 75 million, specifically the 55% of white women that wanted to make sure that Donald Trump stayed in the White House, which he didn't. This is par for the course as it relates to Karl Rove.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.